All right, we are live and almost every platform that's available to us. But if you've seen our show from the beginning before, you know I always open by quietly taking pot shots at Instagram's live settings. So, hey, there we go. All right, day before Thanksgiving, November 26, 2025. Larry Mastropieri, broker, owner of the Mastropieri Group, alongside myself, John Laws, and Larry. We have plenty to be thankful for this year, and certainly people in and around South Florida have a lot of that as well. There have been a lot of public-private partnerships that have taken the spotlight this year, and we're going to take a minute to talk about some of those. Not quite a year-end event, but something that we can see and talk about the businesses, both public and private, that have done well by working together and making the world a better place. So we'll start with that. And South Florida cities are turning to public-private partnerships, you may be aware, to build projects they could not normally afford on their own. Today, we break down the most important ones and what they mean for local neighborhoods. Okay, so we're going to kind of just hop all over Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County here to touch on some of these projects. Now, if you're not down with the lingo, they call these public-private partnerships often P3s. So we're not referring to PlayStation or anything like that, but P3s are long-term agreements where a city or county teams up with a private developer, right? The public side typically provides land or long-term leases. Now, the private side handles the financing, the construction, and the operation. So cities often use P3s because they allow multi-million-dollar projects to move forward without raising taxes or issuing large bonds. God knows we prefer to have nice things without those. Larry, I don't know if you've ever been to the Beckham Hotel in Miami Gardens, but this was an unsolicited proposal filed just last month for a hotel and parking garage. It's near Hard Rock Stadium. So it would be adjacent to a new performing arts center that the city is planning at the 3.5-acre site that's located at 18600 Northwest 25th Avenue. Now, there have been prior stadium area hotel plans, but they've stalled in the past because of financing gaps. Anytime you're able to put up something nice next to a site like Hard Rock Stadium, I'd imagine that'd be great. Not to mention, I would think, not knowing anything else about this necessarily, that with, the World Cup just around the corner, that, my God, you'd be trying to put these things up because you're going to have a lot of international visitors watching matches at Hard Rock among so many other venues in North America. So it certainly makes sense. What can you tell us about this?
So I'm sharing my screen right now. You guys can see what the Beckham Hotel Miami Gardens spec is supposed to look like, right? So again, what's quite interesting about these projects is it's a big thing down here in South Florida. Where I grew up or came from, this was a public-private partnership on this scale is not even like a thing, right? And so
yeah,
I think the takeaway for me from this is it's probably not just about, hey, we can't afford to build this on our own, but it's also about, hey, these guys that we're partnering with to do these projects do this at scale all the time. And so you have like real developers with real deep pockets that almost give you that security that this thing's actually going to get done. Right. And so I think that's a big piece of the puzzle, and why these P3s are becoming pretty popular. But this one, we'll run through these relatively quickly, but this is let's see, the center would span 119,000 square feet, leaving 33,750 square feet for the hotel and parking. According to city documents, there have been efforts to build hotels near the stadium for years, but most have stalled over lack of financing. So back to the whole, like, hey, let's get real guys in here to do this. That's the thing, right?
And then it always becomes a fight, having grown up in the state of Missouri. Hell, the Kansas City Chiefs are going through this ordeal right now. Arrowhead Stadium's been around forever. They want to build a new one. You can call the owners greedy because they don't want to, finance it, because, they got the leverage. But then in order to make it happen, they're not just trying to tax the Kansas City area. They always try to get the whole state involved. Where then, on the other side of Missouri and other places, they're like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to pay for this crap. I'm not coming 3+ hours over to come watch you. So yeah, I can understand
that argument
benefit. Yeah, I can understand the benefit of having, private partnerships get involved, since I can't help myself with, bringing in examples from sports. That's just where my brain goes. In Texas, for example.
Yeah, there's obviously the public piece is an element. We're seeing this in Boca Raton, private public partnership to build out the 33 acres, and then there's like all these people flipping out about it. So it's not always.
Why would they flip out about it? It's like away from everything. That's what you build. That's where you build football stadiums, away from everything, because then you got all the parking around it. I mean, people do that on purpose.
Yeah, especially if it's not always, if like you structure a good deal for the community. I think that's what it's really about. And all these projects have different structures, but like a lot of these are, it's the land that the city owns or the public owns, and they're leasing it for free in some cases, or selling it and giving some tax deference of some sort, or the city is giving some kind of deal. Which obviously affects taxpayers, and so it's, to me, it's not the biggest burden on the taxpayers always, but that depends on, I think it depends on the deal, right? So, but we'll keep it moving, because you and I will be talking about these all night if we don't. So the next one on the list here is the landing water taxi terminal in Fort Lauderdale. Which again, I think is pretty cool. I'm pretty pro this. Here's where it's supposed to be, right here. So if I zoom out a little bit, so another water taxi terminal, which is pretty cool. And this is the proposed look of what it is. And it's a 21,589 square foot water taxi hub right there. The $10 million project calls for 8,600 square foot building and 4 levels that would include a ticketing and visitor center on the ground floor, a restaurant and bar on the 2nd and 3rd level, plus a rooftop event space. Yep. So that's kind of neat. Right. And then we keep it moving here. And we don't have to like show you every single one of these.
No, we can. But I mean, a lot of these are Miami, I noticed too.
There's a lot of Miami-Dade projects. They got this one. This one or the next one we talked about, Miami-Dade Regional Multi-Sport Park, Doral, a 47-acre multi-sport park west of Trump National Doral, up to 7 tournament soccer fields, a field stadium, 8 pickleball courts, and 5 tennis courts. Which is interesting. Paddle X. This is the one you and I talked about recently, right? Which is like a huge project. Paddle X. The $280 million sports performance hub in Homestead, and the Fort Pickleball Complex in Fort Lauderdale, and Miami-Dade Regional Multi-Sport Park Complex near Doral. These guys have done this recently. In recent years, South Florida officials have learned more on the public-private partnership to finance and develop major works, including sports projects. So those 3 are, just to name a few, additional projects that have already been knocked out. And so this is just yet another one that's kind of moving along here. It seems like there's a handful of these sports performance hubs. Oh, I was going to
say they're all about sports, because again, it's just, that's what I often think of when it comes to public-private partnerships. It's, in order to make them happen for a number of reasons.
Yeah, because that's a big deal, big piece of land. You need the whole team rowing.
Help me help you.
Yeah. And then you have Napster Studios. You and I have gone over this ad nauseum, but it's a 162,000 square foot film and content campus in Fort Lauderdale, which is really cool. It's built on a site that was designated a Superfund landfill, and is currently vacant. And they're supposed to bring in thousands of jobs and increase the area's economic output, et cetera, et cetera. And so this could be super interesting long term. And so the city basically said, hey, we'll give this land to you for free. Basically, they're leasing it to them for 50 years at $1 a year. Yeah. So again, just doing it, just doing
because they have to charge them something for it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So this is the, but again, they're getting nothing from it right now. Yeah. and the whole area over there could use that. So,
Oh,
all right,
it's great.
Southgate.
If it comes to fruition, I think it's a terrific idea.
Yeah, it's more industry for South Florida.
Mhm.
It's great. They should push it along. They should do it. I can't think of a better project for that location. If Napster wants to do it and can execute, that's good. Southgate Government Center housing, Cutler Bay. So, this is a Terra Group project. They proposed 724 workforce units on county lease land. Right. They filed it under the Live Local Act, so they're just knocking this thing out without going through too many hoops. Per the Live Local Act. Then this is a kind of a big one. You and I have talked about this. Marina Village, Phase 2 in Riviera Beach, right? 90-acre waterfront site. Already includes immense space and expanded marina. So the RFP seeks office space, upscale retail, entertainment, hotel uses, and more parking. So pretty cool project. Yep.
Yeah.
And man, we could go down the list here, but there
are a lot. I didn't even realize there were that many.
Yeah, Magnus Brickell, SG Holding, Little River, the Era, Fort Lauderdale, broke ground in March with 400 units, with at least 210 reserved for workforce housing, supported by a 15-year city tax reimbursement and a 30-year county reimbursement of up to $5.5 million. Estimated cost is $128 million. So again, there you go. The fort in Fort Lauderdale opened February 2025. 43 pickleball courts, suites, dining, retail, live music, game yard. Marketed as the world's first dedicated pickleball stadium. Pretty epic. So again, these public-private partnerships are happening a lot, and there's more to come here in South Florida. So they have a bunch of proposed ones that are in the process. There's just a ton here. Yeah,
there are a ton. And
let's move on to our boy Ken Griffin.
I know. So I guess some billionaires they tried to build rockets. I feel like certain billionaires, some like Elon or Jeff Bezos, like maybe they're trying to compensate for something. But then now you have Ken Griffin too, seeking approval for Florida's tallest office tower. A new 1,000-foot tower could change Miami's skyline yet again. So this is what you need to know about the project and how it may impact Brickell, because it's not like Brickell can keep adding stuff. Billionaire Ken Griffin seeking county approval for a 54-story 1,000-foot office tower in Brickell. It would become Citadel's global headquarters and include a hotel, offices, and retail. Now, the site spans 4.72 acres along Brickell Bay Drive and Brickell Avenue. Miami-Dade will review zoning requests tied to transit and shoreline rules. If approved, the project could influence jobs, traffic, business growth, and the region's skyline, you think. The project is just massive in scale. Again, it's like, I don't know, Ken, trying to make it for something. I find it interesting that, for all the tall buildings, man, it's like real. It's not even like a New York thing. We keep talking about the past couple of weeks with the political shift that maybe we're getting more New Yorkers down here, so on and so forth. But that didn't mean we had to like turn South Florida into New York. Because that's what I think. When you think of incredibly tall buildings, you think of like New York, Chicago, whatever. And
I was just going to say Ken's from Chicago, so and Ken left. Well, that's where I think he had Citadel, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wow, he left Chicago and he's, I think, rubbing it in their face a little bit, because this isn't the only project he's rocking on, right? He's a big believer in South Florida.
That private marina he's doing down there.
Yeah.
And a private school, like all kinds of stuff.
1.485 million square feet of office space, 212 hotel rooms, 24,000 square feet of retail, restaurant space. Wow. Yep. Wow. 1,420 space garage to the west. The FAA approved the height of 1,028 feet in July. Here we go. He's on his way. Miami-Dade County staff recommended approval and noted a voluntary $3 million contribution from the developer for the new crosswalk, traffic improvements, and stormwater. This project is, what was the total, what is the spec'd out? I don't think he gave a number on what he thinks he's going to spend. I think he thinks he's going to spend.
He probably doesn't even know yet.
Somebody interviewed him. I watched an interview. Hold on. I think it's going to be, I think somebody was suggesting it was $1 billion, and I think he was suggesting it was going to be $2 billion to do this thing. So it's either, if I remember correctly, it's $1 billion or $2 billion. It's a big number. Big number.
Yeah.
They were pushing him like, what's your plans in South Florida? What do you continue to do? He's like, hey, listen, I'm pretty heavy South Florida right now, right? He's like, we'll see where it happens. So
yeah, it's sad though that I get more excited when I hear the mention of parking and how they're going to accommodate than everything else. It's like you throw out some of these numbers like, oh wow, it's pretty big, and then you're like 1,400 space parking garage connection. You're like, oh wow. Wow.
I think here's the thing though. I think parking is super important. I think it's more important now than it will be 10 years from now, right? With just driverless cars dropping you off, moving on to the next thing. The utilization of vehicles will go up dramatically, which probably will mean there's not sitting too much in dense markets, in cities. They'll probably go have like a huge parking space at people's houses slash parking spaces at the airport as an example, right?
Yeah.
Like somewhere with a lot of land. They'll go park themselves and then they'll go to work next morning, right? That would be my guess how this works in the future. So I think,
We're living in the future, Larry.
I'm living in the future. Hey, how about this? Class A office vacancy 13.6% in Q3. So I don't know how to think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but I would say it's probably fair. And clearly this guy's ready to build this massive thing. Yeah.
Well, like you said, that was a very good point. He's definitely rubbing it in Chicago's face a bit.
Yeah.
They must have not given him what he wanted, and that's how he rolls. Now I keep thinking about, like professional sports team owners, when the city doesn't go along with what you want, what do? They move the team. I know, I've lived through it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So to answer that question, the vacancy in the national vacancy is about 18.6, right? With asking rates around 32.79 cents per foot. So we're talking $92 to $93 per foot here at a 13.6 vacancy. So while prices are obviously bananas, the vacancy is still lower than relative, at the national average. So that's kind of explaining why these there's still demand for this stuff, and it attracts real players. So
yeah, and kudos to all the parties involved that continue to do enough to keep that level of interest to the area.
Yeah. Here's something interesting too. Tallest office buildings in Florida. Panorama Tower, Aston Martin Residences is number 2, Four Seasons Hotel in Miami, Southeast Financial Center. All of them are the highest one is 869 feet, and we're talking over 1,000 right now. So he's going for it.
Yeah.
Good luck, Ken. I think you should do it. I'm pro get this done. Maybe everybody doesn't agree with that, but let's leave it at that.
I just know my last thought, not to be the Debbie Downer here, but I know we have done stories talking about subsidence affecting buildings, particularly tall ones in coastal cities, not just in South Florida, but around the world, that these skyscrapers start to sink into the ground. And how does Florida respond? We're going to go over 1,000 feet now. Let's just, if we're going down with a huge tower. All right.
Hey, just pour more concrete.
I
right?
guess. I mean,
pour
people
more
who
concrete.
do this stuff for a living, they seem confident enough to throw this stuff out there.
Yeah. Let's talk about this is kind of interesting. 12 South Florida development sites that are in bankruptcy or foreclosure. A dozen development sites across South Florida are now in foreclosure or bankruptcy. Rising costs, higher rates, and slower rent growth have pushed several projects to a standstill. So I know we just talked about these epic projects, but not everything is working in South Florida like it used to. That's for sure. We're seeing little cracks in the foundation here across South Florida. This is just the big examples, and I found this kind of interesting, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Just because we're always talking about how South Florida is doing its thing, it's killing it, but there's stuff that's not working, and the market is changing, and we are in a cycle, and it's not perfect right now.
No.
Let's just kind of run through them. But 12 major development sites across Miami, Broward, Palm Beach are tied up in foreclosure bankruptcy cases. Loans range from $5 million to $70 million. Developers are citing rising construction costs, higher insurance, and tighter lending rules. Slower apartment rent growth has reduced the financial incentive to build. Most cases remain active with no final outcomes yet. So kind of interesting. Let's see here. In August 2025, Florida's commercial property insurance market hit another breaking point. Premiums for office buildings, retails, and industrial properties surged 20 to 30% above national averages, fueled by repeat storms and high litigation costs. So we're still dealing with this insurance thing. I know I have.
That's not going away. Yeah.
Yeah, I've mentioned. I think there's a for the residential side of things. I think there's a little bit of a break on the horizon. Maybe a year from now, it seems like things are headed in the right direction, but for now it's not perfect. So yeah. So, and here's the recent data shows material prices increasing sharply between mid 2024 and mid 2025, with wood, drywall, steel, and concrete each up about 5 to 8%. Yeah. So okay. So they're claiming these things. I was talking to a contractor, saying that the big way to incentivize construction is to get that concrete price down. That was the big piece of the puzzle. He was saying that's like a good percentage of the build cost for any of these bigger projects. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he was saying. And so,
just materials in general, you've talked about it several times. It's like we keep looking for all these solutions to bring down housing costs, to kind of sort of reinvigorate people buying in the housing market. But it's like, man, when they cost so much to build, it certainly presents some major challenges.
Sure. Yeah. It's a thing. Here's the list. Legacy Hotel and Residences at Miami World Center. That's a big project that's struggling. The lender filed $31.96 million foreclosure lawsuit in July. The borrower countersued. Construction is currently stalled. This all sucks for people who are living in the city. This goes back to like when you choose somebody to do something and you make the bet, you want some level of certainty that they're going to get it done. And so track record is important. And some of these guys have a real track record. Some of these guys have a history of bigger problems. Magnolia Park was another one, $32 million foreclosure case. And that's on a 52.3 acre site tied to Don King.
I know. That's what I said. It's like, you can't escape Don King.
Don King's getting this done. This is happening. This is one we've talked about. Main Street at Tuttle Royal Palm Beach. This was his big project. This guy, we've seen him pop up here and there. Not a major player like Related or any of these big boys, but he's popped up here and there, and he's got a $47.4 million foreclosure judgment. And there's a Chapter 11 that was filed in September. So, well, this is what it's supposed to look like. This project is supposed to be awesome. It's supposed to really change that area and be, a big draw. But unfortunately, this guy's not getting it done right now, and so he's messing up. Nativo, Fort Lauderdale, if that's how you pronounce it, another one, $22 million foreclosure lawsuit. 340 Biscayne Bay, which is supposed to be this epic building. They're filing Chapter 11 reorganization in December 2024 to stay a $70 million UCC auction. which we saw happen at the Mandarin Oriental in Boca Raton. They had a UCC auction, right? And
How are they doing? I've been by there in a while.
Uncle Grant struck a deal with them. Looks like they're cooking, man. Looks like they're doing
Yeah,
stuff.
I need
Let's
to
see
drive
if
by
Uncle
that
Grant
soon.
gets this thing done. So we'll see how that goes. But this is happening, guys. This is happening left and right. North Miami Beach.
A lot of Miami properties.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of projects in Miami,
Yeah.
North Miami Beach, and plus Miami is the scene for doing crazy weird stuff. 1515 Miami River, 7 at Lagoon, Miami. So there's a lot of construction projects we're starting to see stall out. And if you're not backed by a real guy or a real company that's doing this stuff, there's a chance that you get hit here too if you're not well capitalized in this game right now. You got to be able to ride this out, and the market's changing. So that's the takeaway here. Oh, this one. Let's talk about billionaire Larry Ellison.
Yes,
buying Lion Country Safari for $30 million.
Why go on a safari when you could bring a safari to you?
Larry Ellison is building a little dome of everything he wants in Palm Beach. That's what's happening, right? He's this is his world. He'll never have to leave it ever again. He has.
I hope he's not doing it just to turn it into his own private, hunting ground, because to shoot endangered black rhino just to get the horn. He's one of those dickhead. Billionaire hunters that will be posing with an endangered species that he just mowed down that had no chance.
He's hunting big game in Palm Beach now at Lion Country Safari.
That's what a cartoon villain would do.
Yeah. So, and by the way, for people who don't know, Larry Ellison has been buying stuff on Palm Beach Island. He's one of the wealthier dudes in the area. Without question.
Briefly this year, he was the richest man in the world. He overtook Elon for like a day or two.
Yeah, which is interesting. So he's Oracle's co-founder, right? And the world's third richest person with a net worth hovering around $250 billion. He purchased the O Hotel, right? We talked about that a little ways back. He did a big renovation there. Now he just picked up this Lion Country Safari, which has traded hands for the first time in 58 years. I was really surprised when I saw this headline.
Family owned.
This is wild. Yeah, family owned. So he must have. First off, I think he has a history of stuff. I think it says it here somewhere. The park says animal care, conservation work, and daily operations will continue without change. It's a 254-acre park and has been family owned since 1967. I've been there. I've fed the giraffes.
I was and I wasn't that far from there for a while, and I didn't know. I never went.
Yeah, man. So
it's in Loxahatchee, right?
Yeah, it's in Loxahatchee, right off Southern, as you head towards Loxahatchee from West Palm. Yeah. As you head out west. Ellison already owns property and a luxury resort, as we talked about. And recently opened a conservation center in California. Sounds like he's getting after this conservation thing. That's what I heard. The sale raises questions about future investment, long-term plans, and the impact of the surrounding area. For anybody who wants to know, we were just talking about location. I can share it with you because I have the map here. So this is Southern Boulevard right here. And this is Lion Country Safari, all built in. And so basically you kind of come in and then you drive this Lion Country Safari road, and there's just tons of safari animals.
Yeah.
All along this thing. Really cool. Just running around close to the car, all that good stuff. And then you kind of end at the end over here where you can feed giraffes and lettuce and do fun stuff. So anyway, it's a big deal for kids in the area. This is like a big thing, but yeah, we will see what Larry does.
Yeah.
What does this say? First, the founding Koppel family moved the property into holding company for $12 $1.71 million. The company then sold the land to LCS Property LLC, led by Larry Ellison's foundation in California, for $30 million. So yeah, it features herds of species from 6 continents, including zebras, rhinos, ostriches. Yeah, so it's cool. It's a cool place, and I hope he maintains it and does something special there. That'll be great. So
yeah, I would certainly think so, just because it's like, when you're the third richest guy in the world, things like that, I'd imagine, just seem like a hobby.
Yeah, and it's like, it's how do I give back? It's it's all that
passion over profit in a case like that, for sure.
We just mentioned, and we have a list of things he's bought. So in 2021, he spent $80 million on a North Palm Beach waterfront estate, Seminole Landing, 8.5 acre oceanfront property, 15,000 square foot mansion in North Palm Beach. He bought a Manalapan mega estate in 2022 for $173 million, which we've also talked about. He bought the EAU Beach Resort and Spa for $277 million. By the way, this was in 2024. To pay $277 for a massive 309 room, 8 acre oceanfront luxury resort, and then to pay, I don't know, $100 million less for like a compound, in Manalapan, to me, it's like, man, I would totally buy, like, if we're just comparing this, it's like, yeah, this EAU Palm Beach Resort and Spa seems like a no-brainer. I don't know, at $277 million, if you just bought a house for 173, right? Kind of, if you're comparing.
I'm thinking of Monopoly money terms, just
right?
Yeah, why not?
He bought a hotel there. He bought a shopping plaza too, right? A 10 acre commercial plaza directly across from EAU Resort. Okay. And they have an undisclosed number for that purchase. Yep. Yeah. And looks like he said it likely acquired to control the broader guest ecosystem and future redevelopment options for the EAU district, which makes sense. I think, like, I know what that is across the street there. And it's like, yeah, they'd buy that thing and do something cool there for sure. So, and now Lion Country Safari. What is next?
Right. I don't know, but it's probably not going to be the Fort Lauderdale hotel that's going to be demolished for a luxury condo, which I know is not very specific, but apparently a longtime waterfront hotel and apartment building on Bayshore Drive could be replaced by a 13-story luxury condo tower. This plan adds new high-end housing, but raises questions about height, design, and neighborhood impact. Doesn't everything? The proposal, called Opus at 701, would replace the Manhattan Tower Hotel and the nearby apartment building at 632 and 701 Bayshore Drive. Because again, if there is property along the waterfront to be had in South Florida, a condo is coming for you. Can't tell you when, can't tell you how, but it is going to happen.
Yeah. So this is kind of interesting location, right? So check out where this is. The Galleria is right here.
Oh,
which is like going to be a mega project if something doesn't derail that. But kind of hard to derail it when he's using the Live Local project or laws to build that thing. Most people don't want to do it. The mayor's begging, please don't do it.
That's one of the few projects that and I've said it before, we always joke about, what's the complaint? Traffic, But if you look at how that spot is set up, and you essentially only have 2 entryways to that, particular area, traffic's going to suck. I mean, if you're building 4 massive towers right there, traffic is really, really going to suck for a while there.
Yeah. So anyway, so it is this. We'll digress. We digress here, but we'll talk about Galleria another day again, because they have some updates on that. And it basically, I gave you the highlights. Mayor's begging, please don't do it. The developers just like, we're doing it. We're using Live Local. We're knocking it out. The neighbors are just like, please, Lord. And that's it. And then this puppy pops up right here, basically right across the waterway, yet adding more density and stuff of that nature. So, 13-story luxury condo, Opus at 701. the Old Manhattan Hotel. Yep. The developer CNB Contracting assembled the site for $19.5 million between 23 and 25. The tower is planned for 155 feet, requiring approvals and waivers from the Fort Lauderdale City Commission and Development Review Committee. This probably gets done. This isn't as crazy as what we just talked about, right? 54 high-end condos, smallest residences, 2 bedrooms, most common layout, 3 bedrooms, largest penthouse, and 3-bedroom plus. Dens, 13,000 to 3,300 square feet, averaging around 2,000 square feet. The one thing I'd comment on here is I don't know these guys, CMB Contracting. You and I look at this all the time, but I haven't heard of these guys. Not that we know any of these guys really personally, but we've seen them execute, and I haven't seen these guys pop up. And so back to the comment around like, be careful who you get in bed with here, because the world is changing, and there's a lot of people filing for foreclosure and not getting it done. If they're not well capitalized, they may not make it. And that's just a comment because I don't know who they are. They might be the right guys for the job, and just commenting. They've done the work. They've assembled the parcels. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 114 parking spots.
That doesn't sound like much.
Yeah, but they only have 54 residences, right?
Oh, that's
so
true.
so it's like 2-ish parking spaces for each resident, or each room, or not room, unit. And so, yeah, whatever. Yep. This is a common thing, though. Built in 1952 as a corporate retreat for General Motors, designed by mid-century modern architect Charles McKiernan. Now his project is getting demolished. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Charles McKiernan.
Yeah. It was renovated in the early 2000s with over $1 million in upgrades. That's not really a lot of money. Okay. Compared to what these guys are spending on these construction projects. Became a regular stop for architectural tours and highlights on the intercoastal water taxi. Well, no longer. It will be knocked down. Sold in May of 2025. Closing one chapter and setting up the site for potential redevelopment. That's it.
All right. We're going to talk about some of the related projects, or are we moving on to how airplane routes and noise affects home prices?
I think just the final comment on this is just, there's obviously similar projects kind of popping up here left and right. Celine in Fort Lauderdale, the residences of Pier 66, how do you say this? Auberge Beach Residence and Spa. I can never pronounce that. Auberge. I never pronounce that. And then, so there's a number of these projects happening. There's a lot of them getting done. There's some that aren't getting done, as we talked about earlier. So they're all exciting. This area is just in massive development mode. So
there are no setbacks here. But this national study, I found this one to be kind of interesting. Airplane noise obviously doesn't just bother people, but new research shows it can change what homes sell for. That makes sense. Today, we break down how much it matters, who feels it most, and what it means for South Florida. So a national study found home values drop 0.6 to 1% for every decibel of added airplane noise. Now, homes exposed to frequent 60 decibel flights sell at a discount. Yeah, I could see that. Higher income households place more value on quiet neighborhoods, of course. The current housing market has more listings, slower sales, and more price cuts. Okay, so where are we going with this?
This is a common thing that we talk about as we're selling homes up and down the eastern border of just like Palm Beach County, Broward County, Dade County, because there's a scattered number of airports throughout, right? There's obviously the big airports like Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach and Miami, and that's like pretty obvious from my perspective.
I don't think Palm Beach is that big, though. I mean,
it's not that big, but
I'll drive by tomorrow. I mean, it's just not.
There's still enough like where it's like, okay, these planes are coming in right overhead, right, and or taking off above, and so like those are big boys. But the Boca Raton Airport is an example, or FXE, or the Pompano Airport. What we've seen a lot of is like when people are shopping for waterfront property in that like 1 to 2 million range, or just sub 1 million, right around there, which doesn't really exist so much anymore with a canal. You'd think Pompano would have, on the east of Federal Highway where those canals are, you'd think Pompano would have this this attraction and maybe higher quality homes all over the place there, maybe sooner than some of the other areas, because of its proximity to the Hillsborough Inlet, as an example, right? And so it's close to the Hillsborough Inlet. Get out, fish, get out to the ocean really quick. Pretty nice, and it's a real inlet. It's a big inlet. You know, it's one of the bigger inlets in the area. So you'd think that would drive up prices, but also when I'm running around there with clients, showing them homes there, and then maybe increasing their price to go to Boca or other areas, what's interesting is you hear the airplanes, not the big 747.
No, it's all private jets and stuff.
But you hear the prop planes.
Oh yeah, I do see those too.
They're at 400 feet. You know what I mean? Like they're coming in, they're doing their go arounds, and you're hearing this. They're coming up and down the beach and then cutting in, and so that's a thing. It's a thing. Like if you're a buyer and you're looking to buy stuff, sometimes you'll hear it because it'll be a busy traffic day, and then sometimes you might just miss it while you're running around there, and then you'll realize it after you buy the property, as an example, or during inspection when you're there again. It's not that it's like terrible, but it is a thing, and it is a bit of a nuisance, and it is probably higher than the 60 decibels, in my opinion, in certain areas in Pompano around that airport, without question. So, and I think it affects value. I really do. I've had comments about it from buyers when we're running around. So
it's good to know. It is nice that you can actually quantify that stat to a certain extent.
Yeah. So median willingness to pay for quieter homes. This is interesting. They're just pricing it out. I'm not really sure exactly how they come to these numbers, but here we go. My MIA flight path homes, median is 509. That's 8 to 12% below quieter Coral Gables, Coconut Creek, right? FLL affected areas, 500 to 530K around the airport. That's 5 to 9% discount versus peaceful Victoria Park or Las Olas. PBI corridors, 4 to 7% lower than Palm Beach Island. Well, okay, come on. Palm Beach Island or Eastern Boca Raton. So sure. Yeah. I think there's truth to this. I don't know how easy it is to quantify.
Right. I was going to say it's correlation, but that doesn't, it's very hard to quantify that. Yeah. I mean, like, of course the nicer houses are in Palm Beach Island or East Boca. Like, really?
Yeah.
I respect the effort, Larry.
Yeah. Right. It's kind of interesting. So you can just, if you want to take anything away from this, the national, what we can say in the area is if you're like by the big boy airports, you're looking anywhere between, I think the lowest was a 4% discount to a 12% discount at the highest, which is like Miami flight path. Like that's what you're seeing. And these discounts align perfectly with national research, 0.6 to 1% value loss per extra decibel and bigger hits once noise rate. This is kind of interesting too. You probably can apply this to traffic noise, right? As well. And so this is maybe
that would make sense, right?
Yeah. Like I'm going to start walking around with a decibel meter and just go outside here. I can value your property on the road now. Just it's this many decibels above the average, which is a quieter area, which they said is 40 decibels, right? And so anything over that, you're a 1% loss for every decibel.
Of course. I mean, to me, that's obnoxious. I mean, if you don't have those big sound barriers that are going along a highway, like, because I've been to places that don't, I mean, I have to admit, that constant noise, that would get under my skin.
That's an easier one to kind of look at. I'm going to like do that math at some point when we're selling houses like this. We will report back. Stay tuned. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are we going to talk about the developer seeking a density boost for the Fort Lauderdale development near the Galleria?
Look at that. What a surprise. We were just talking about the Galleria.
I know, right? I was going to say we should have probably tied those two together immediately. But you know what? Let's revisit it. As if you're not aware, a long-stalled redevelopment near the Galleria Mall Yeah, it's back with a much bigger plan. Now, if approved, this corner of Sunrise Boulevard will look very different over the next few years. Um, yeah, new renderings and diagrams show an 8-story redesign for a Bayview Drive project in Fort Lauderdale. Now, the previous proposal, this time around, it will increase from the previous one from 180 to 259 units. So a pretty substantial increase. The plan uses affordable housing rules to request 67 bonus market rate units. The site sits across from the Galleria Mall, which, as mentioned, is going through what will be a major transformation. They want to build 9. Yeah, you heard that right. 9 tall, 30-story apartment towers, shops, a hotel, and over 3,000 homes, which will actually include 1,200 affordable ones. So that little part of Fort Lauderdale is going to look like a war zone while they try to, I hope they're not going to try to do all of this at once. I mean, God help us all. I would think it would be in phases, right?
I would think so. It would make sense to do it in phases.
But
I don't know,
it's
though.
like, I know it's not the same people in charge of all these different projects. So it's like, how does that work? Does the city say, all right, you're going to go first, you're going to go starting at such and such? I mean, who dictates that?
Yeah. So there's one big guy that bought this for 73 million, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's not the same guy with all the projects, is it?
No, I think he bought the whole thing. I think he bought the whole thing.
Okay, well, at least then, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they'll probably stagger this. They have some dirt across the street too, right? So maybe they'll, depending on what's going on here, we'll see. Maybe they'll start at one side and move around. Keep I'm sure they have leases. It makes sense for them to keep collecting rent, right? If they can on stuff, maybe finish a side of it and then move on to the next. So here you go. Some key facts. The 3-acre site on Bayview Drive was purchased for $8 million in 2014. An office building and a gas station were demolished, but no construction followed. So this is what we're talking about right here, right? The original approval in 2024 allowed 180 apartments and roughly 14,600 square feet of commercial space in a 14-story design. Previous approval, 2023. In 2023, the developer received site plan level 3 approval for mixed-use project featuring 2 connected buildings at 14 stories north and 10 stories on the south. 180 residential flex units, 14,000 square feet commercial space, 505 space parking. Yep. So there's some serious density here. Total allocated density of 47 units per acre using 140 or 160 or 180, I'm sorry. What am I saying? 180 city flexible units. And now you're talking about the new proposal. So they just got a lot going on. This is a huge, huge development site. Just huge.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. So this will be very interesting. Okay, and so I was pulling up stuff while you were talking, but it looks like updated application. Now branded The Residence at Bayview, consolidates the project into a single 8-story, 81-foot tall structure with a redesigned massing and new streetscape plan. Core details include 259 residential units. So that's more units, much more density. 12 affordable units. Okay. Qualifications for up to 72 market rate bonus units. Okay. A lot of details there. 566 parking spots. They just got a lot going on. Unit mix, studios, 1-bedrooms. They got restaurants, cafes, retail, outdoor dining, and an amenity deck. So this is just focused on that north end, right? This is just on that north end, because you and I in the past, so they're just talking about this right now, but this whole thing is under proposal for redevelopment. So everything here, I believe, I don't know if they're keeping this. I think this parcel's separate. Maybe they aren't. But this whole thing's under development. So that's what you're saying.
In your opinion, I'm looking at the houses just north of the project site. Pick any random one. Does this ultimately help or hurt their property value?
Well, if you're asking me,
Yeah, in your professional opinion, I mean, I'm just curious.
I think it net helps, assuming the traffic isn't like completely absurd. You know what I mean? Which has its potential to be. I think when you have like really high quality brand new retail adjacent or walkable to single family homes, that kind of creates a cool experience, a cool living experience for these single family homes. You're basically living for here. I mean, it's interesting. You're living, pretty close to the beach, right?
Mhm.
You could basically walk over the bridge, if you wanted to. There's a huge state park here, and then you have, and you're in a single family home, which is nice. And then you have all this awesome updated incredible retail, and it's going to be supported by the retail is going to be supported by a lot of new residents. So you just got this, like, I think it creates this vibrant lifestyle that's super walkable over there. So for me, I think it's going to, 5 years from now, your values will be boosted because of it. Throughout the process, it's going to be
I was gonna say it kind of dips, then goes back up.
I think it's just going to be a big mess while it's going on. Because like right now, at least you have the walkability to a degree. You have the Galleria Mall there. You can walk to it. There's stuff going on. You can go to the restaurant. So for me, it's like, I don't know. Sounds like a possibly an interesting play to buy real estate now. And maybe a single, like, I'm kind of inclined to say, like, buy the single family home thing now, and then kind of let it sit and own that thing and rent it out or live there and then ride that wave if you're willing. By the way, the cheapest home I'm seeing, just for everyone's benefit, in this neighborhood, because that's what I'm doing while I'm ranting here, is the cheapest home over there is 1.199 million.
Oh wow!
Right?
Okay.
And there's homes as high as 39 million in this sector, just for context, like just to show you what I
In
did.
that neighborhood? No kidding.
See right here. So like
they're right on the water, I guess.
on the south end of the neighborhood, north end of the neighborhood, there's a handful on the water, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you take, I'm sure this is like a dry lot. Where is this? Okay, so this is, oh wow. All right, so this is right. Maybe this is why this backs up to the Galleria Mall. Maybe everyone knows. So, but maybe there's a deal to be had on something like this right now. And maybe long term, this is kind of cool. This is the most walkable rental ever, right? I don't know if they offer Airbnbs in this area, but if you can Airbnb, my understanding is you can. We've worked with some clients that do it here, but like, again, like it could be an interesting Airbnb play long term here. There might be a way to develop 2 townhomes that back up to this if you're a developer. There could be stuff to do here. The dirt relative, like, to be almost on the island, like, and almost walkable is kind of interesting. And then so like, okay, so this one's not too far. Let's see what a 3.265 property looks like in the area. So I mean, you got some. So I can see why the neighbors are
nice
probably
house.
up in arms over this stuff, because these are relatively well off properties.
That's why I'm just trying to picture how much hand wringing is going on behind the scenes and stuff. Like if the neighbors are
I don't think they're going to be able to stop some of this. Like, some of this is happening. I mean, this is pretty sweet. Look at this thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
$40 million.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Look at. I mean, they turfed the entire property. Holy smokes. That's a lot of turf, dude. Dude, like a helipad.
That's a helipad. Oh my God.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a new one I haven't seen. Wow, look at this interior. Holy smokes. Hold on, let me see if I can. Yeah, look at that interior. That's ridiculous. So this is a very unique and special house. I mean, look at the stonework on the exterior of this thing. Okay, look at that thing. Wow. So So I can understand why there's resistance here. On the other hand, like a vacant lot, you got to put something there, because otherwise it's like it's equally gross, or substantially more gross than a big building. I think this is interesting long term, because the retail is going to be great. The tenant base is going to be great. You're just going to get great tenants for the for the retail side of things, because it's going to be this class A, I don't know, it'll be a smoothie shop, like a high-end coffee shop. It'll be a really awesome restaurant, or it just will be something just like a really classy real estate office, whatever that is. So anyway, my reaction
ready to wrap it up here?
Let's go. Let's wrap this up.
All right. It's Thanksgiving, so hopefully everyone has a safe and fun holiday. On behalf of Larry Mastropieri, broker, owner of the Mastropieri Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.